Hey, welcome back. So, in the last video, we went ahead and got our main class set up. In this video, we're gonna go ahead and start adding some meat to this time and vote plugin. So let's get into it. So let's go ahead and let's get into our vote util, which is gonna be like the meat, a good chunk of the meat of this plugin. So there is a lot. So let's get right into it. All right, vote util. So one of the first things we got to go ahead and create is a public void start vote. This is going to take a player, and then let's just go ahead and get the world. Let's just import that right now. World, and this is going to be player.getWorld. So one of the first things that we want to do is we want to make sure that the world that they are trying to vote in is the overworld. And the simplest way we can do this is just by getting the world environment. So if world.getEnvironment does not equal world environment normal, then we're gonna go ahead and send the player a very nice message, which I'm gonna copy and paste from here because it's already pre-formatted in a way that I like. We're gonna go ahead and send the player message saying red TV, which is our prefix, time voter, and then gray, which is gonna say time vote can only be done in the overworld. And then we're gonna return because we don't wanna run any more of the code. So now we're gonna go ahead and create a double, and this is going to be time elapsed. And we'll just go ahead and go there. We don't need to set it to anything because default will be 0. Let's just go ahead and say if plugin.lastVote does not equal null, we're gonna go ahead and say time elapsed is equal to the duration between the plugin.lastVote in the instant now. And then we're gonna go ahead and convert that to minutes. So what are we doing here? So basically we're creating this double, which is our time elapsed, and that is nothing, right? And we want to go ahead and say is if the last vote, which for anybody who doesn't remember, our last vote is an instant. Okay, we haven't actually set it yet, but we're checking right now. Let me get back here. So we're checking to see if our last vote is not null, which means it has been set. We're gonna go ahead and set our time elapsed, which is going to be the duration between whenever the last vote was, which is set, and now, which is just our instant now. And we're gonna convert that to minutes. Following along? Let's hope. All right, so now what we're gonna go ahead and say is we're gonna say if plugin, well, I guess we could just, so we're gonna go ahead and say if plugin.lastVote does equal null, or time elapsed is greater than or equal to plugin.voteDelay, we are gonna go ahead and run some stuff. So now we're basically saying that time vote equals null, or the time elapsed is greater than the vote delay. So obviously if last vote equals null, then there hasn't been a vote yet since the server's been started, which means that we can start a vote. So what we're gonna do right off the top here is we're gonna go ahead and say plugin.vote is vote active, and we're gonna go ahead and set that to true. Now, because we're allowing this to run with last vote equal to null, we wanna go ahead and just check to make sure if the last vote is null, we wanna set it. Because the way we're doing this is we're allowing both of these to pass through, because either instance of this will basically mean that a vote is ready to be activated. So if plugin.lastVote is equal to null, we're gonna go ahead and set plugin.lastVote equal to instant now. And then we'll keep on going. So the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna build out some text components. And what these are basically going to be is just allow us to click the chat for a yes and click the chat for no. So we're going to say text component yes equals new text component. Oops, how'd that get out of there? and this is going to be yes. And let's just go ahead and duplicate this. We'll say no. Let's just capitalize this, and then we'll say no. So we're gonna go ahead and say, we're gonna skip a line. We're gonna say yes. Dot set click. Oh, I think we imported the wrong text component. Import class. We want the bungee cord chat text component. Now we want to go ahead and say set click event. And this is going to be a new click event. And inside this click event is going to be action.run command. And that command is going to be /TV yes. Now we'll duplicate this. We'll change this to no. And then we'll just change this to no. So basically what we're doing is we're allowing the chat click to run the command TV yes or TV no, which is basically what the player will do or can do on their own if they want to. So now what we want to do is we want to set the color, right? So we can go ahead and say yes.set color, and we'll say green, and then we'll duplicate this and we'll say no.set color. We'll change that to red. And because I'm actually going to be nitpicky with myself, I am going to group all of these together in their rightful spots. So all of yeses together and all nos together. I can just hear somebody yelling down in the comments right now. All right, so the next thing we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to go ahead and broadcast a message. Again, I already have this pre-formatted, so I'm just going to copy it, but it's nothing special here. It's literally just a plugin.getServer, a broadcast message. We're broadcasting this message of TV. The player's name has started a time vote. You have plus the chat color.gold, plug in a time to vote. So we're getting the time, and then we're going to go back to gray, or seconds to vote. So we're basically just writing an output that's saying so-and-so has started a time vote. You have X number of seconds to vote. You may click yes or no, or type /time vote yes or no, or sleep in your bed for a yes. We're gonna actually make it so players can, if they're in their house and they don't want to type, they can actually just click their bed and they'll vote. That'll be a yes vote if there's a time vote going. And broadcast along with this are text components that actually allow them to vote. So let's go ahead and say plugin.getServer.broadcast. And in here, we're gonna go ahead and say new component builder. And this is going to be append. And we're gonna go ahead and say append yes. Oops, come on, type. And then we're gonna go ahead and append a space /space /space. Then we're gonna go ahead and set the color to gray. And then we're setting the color to gray for that slash. Then we're gonna go ahead and append no. And then we're gonna go ahead and create. Okay, great. And so now we wanna go ahead and add this player to the yes vote. So basically what we're doing is whenever a player starts the vote, they will automatically be casted as a yes. For obvious reasons. If you're starting the vote, you obviously want night or day to change. So there's no point for making that player do time vote and then time vote yes. It just doesn't make any sense. So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna go ahead and say plugin.getYesVote.add. We're gonna say player.getUniqueID. Great. And now we're gonna send that player message, which I already have formatted here. So I'm just gonna copy it. So it's just gonna be player.sendMessage. And we're gonna say TV in yellow. You automatically cast a yes vote by starting the vote. Okay, great. So now the next thing we wanna do is we wanna have a really nice boss bar, which is gonna just basically be a timer for when people have to vote so they can visually see when the time vote is going to be over. Pretty simple. So let's just go ahead and say create boss bar. And then we'll go ahead and create this method. And let me just scroll down here. There is some code that will come after this, but we'll get to it. So down in here, we're gonna go ahead and, we forgot to actually make a variable up here, or a couple. So let's just get that there. And right here, we're gonna go ahead and say is a private bucket task timer. And here is going to be a private boss bar. Now you're probably wondering, why am I doing it up here? You'll see. We're basically doing it up here because we're gonna need to clear it back here in our start vote method. So let's go back down to our boss bar. So let's go ahead and say boss bar equals a bucket dot create boss bar. The title is going to be vote timer. And let's just close that off. And we'll do that. We'll do a little, you can format this however you want to. We're gonna go ahead and say the bar color is going to be blue, although I have a texture pack on, which I'll take off for this because the texture pack only allows one color of boss bar, which is yellow. And then we're gonna say bar style, we'll just say solid. And again, you can format this however you want to. This is just how I like it. So we're gonna go ahead and set the boss bar progress to 1. So what we're doing is we're actually gonna be going backwards. So the boss bar's value is 0 to 1, 0 to 1, 0 being nothing, 1 being completely full. We're gonna work backwards and we're gonna go from 1 to 0. And the method that I'm using here is not totally mathematically perfect, but it works as a general sort of visual timeline. Great, so boss bars, progress 1. Let's just go ahead and pull again our bucket.get get online players. And we're gonna go ahead and say it is for each player. We are gonna go ahead and boss bar add player. Oh, not flag. Add player. Great. So now what we can go ahead and do is let's go ahead and create a timer, which is this timer up here. So we're initializing this timer, which we should, yeah, I guess timer works. It's kind of, yeah, timer works. You can name any of these values whatever you want to. This is just what I'm doing. We're gonna go ahead and say bucket.getScheduler. We're gonna go ahead and run task timer. This is going to be plugin, comma, and oops, there we go. And now that we got that, let's just go ahead and close that off there. And obviously we're missing some things here. So the delay is going to be 0 and we're gonna run it every second. So every 20 ticks. And then inside of here, we're gonna go ahead and say float the increment, which is basically how much we're going down by. And that is just going to be, we're gonna cast float to this. That is going to be 1 divided by the time to vote. So basically we need 1 divided by the time to vote, because if you have 10 seconds to vote and we need to divide that by 1, or we need to divide 1 by however long we have so we can actually get the increment and not have to like figure it out on our own. And like I said, this isn't perfect, so you'll get values that just don't work, or you'll come to the point where you might end up eventually pushing past a value that's less than 1 or less than 0, which is just the fault of the code and not necessarily the math. Okay, so now that we have that, let's just go ahead and say double new progress. And this is going to be boss bar dot get progress minus the increment. And then we want to go ahead and say is if new progress is less than or equal to 0, we want to go ahead and set the boss bar progress to 0. And now we're doing this because we don't want the boss bar value to go below 0, or else you'll get an error. And then let's just go ahead and say return. And now we'll say boss bar dot set progress, and we'll set this to new progress. Okay, so basically all we did there is we created the boss bar, we set the progress to 1 or fully complete. We're getting all the players online, we're adding them to the boss bar, then we are creating our timer, we're running this as a task timer, and then we're getting the float, which is going to be the increment, so we're dividing 1 by the time to vote. We're setting the new progress, which is going to be the boss bar current progress minus the increment. And then we're gonna say if the new progress is less than or equal to 0, we wanna just set the boss bar to 0 because we don't want the boss bar progress to go below 0 or we're going to get an error. And then if it is, we're gonna return, but if not, we're gonna go ahead and set the progress to new progress. Great. And so now we'll do one more thing in here before we end off this video. And then in the next video, we will go ahead and do the command and we'll do the event because those are two pretty small things. And then we will test it and we will knock this plugin out of the park. And I haven't mentioned this, but all the code for this will be on GitHub. So if you guys feel like there was an error in this video or you want to do something better, just go over to the repo, put in a PR, and we can start updating all this. And that goes along with all of our videos. If you guys notice that there's an error and the code is on GitHub, put in a PR and we will fix it. Or if there's a better way to do it, we'll put in a PR. Okay, so now that we have created that's a tongue twister. Now that we have created our boss bar, let's go ahead and say bucket, not bucket task, bucket.getScheduler. And we're gonna go ahead and say run task later. This is going to be a plugin. And then we'll go ahead and do all this and we'll say comma, and this is going to be plugin.time to vote times 20. So now you're probably wondering, what are we doing here? Let me just format all my code. So we're creating a task that's going to run however long you have to vote times 20. And now 20 is 20 ticks, which is 1 second. So we want to just multiply whatever our time to vote is, which we set in our config, which is 15 seconds. And then let me just go back here. And then we're just multiplying that by 20 so we can have that in ticks. Okay, so now what we're gonna do in here is we're gonna go ahead and say is if plugin, caps, if plugin.get, oh my God, I can't type all of a sudden. If plugin.get yes vote dot size is greater than plugin.get no vote dot size, let's go ahead and say and run some stuff. So basically we're just checking to see if the yes vote is greater than the no vote. If not, then we're fine. So then we're just gonna go ahead and say else plugin.get server, and I'm just gonna copy this message because it's already formatted. So if the yes vote is not greater than the no vote, we're gonna go ahead and broadcast the message, and I'll just click enter here so you guys can see this better. And that message is just going to be vote failed, server will elapse, we'll say server time will elapse normally. And now you can do this however you want to. You can skip this message if you want, that's totally fine. Okay, so then let's just go down here and we'll say, so after everything is run, we'll go ahead and say vote active, is vote active. We'll set that to false because vote is no longer active. We're gonna go ahead and say is plugin.get yes vote. We want to clear it because the future votes, we want it to be empty. We're gonna go ahead and get no vote. We're gonna clear it. We're gonna go ahead and get the timer, which was the boss bar, and we're gonna go ahead and cancel it. Then we're gonna go ahead and remove everybody from the boss bar because we don't want anybody to have the boss bar anymore because the voting is over. Okay, so now back into our if statement here. So let's go ahead and say if player, and really what we should do up here is let's just go ahead, we already got it, so I don't know why I'm getting the world here. So let's just go ahead and say world.getTime, and if the time is greater than or equal to 2600, or wow, 12,600, we'll go ahead and run some stuff. Now you're probably wondering, where did I get this value from? So if you go onto the Minecraft wiki, you can actually get a chart of all of the times on Minecraft. This is about when, or maybe even exactly when, I don't remember off the top of my head, but this is about when players are allowed to sleep in a bed, right? So basically that means that's when night starts. And so basically what happens is the time on Minecraft goes from 0 to some value that I don't remember off the top of my head, but 12,600 is where you're allowed to sleep. So anything less than that is technically daytime. So from 0 to this value is daytime. So what we're gonna go do here is we're gonna go ahead and say is world.setTime. We're gonna set it to 0. and then we're gonna go ahead and send them a message. So 0, I believe, is sunrise. And we're just gonna go ahead and send them the message, basically saying vote success, server time has been voted today. And we're gonna say else if, so basically if it is not greater than or equal to 12,600, or not else if, sorry, just else. Else if it isn't greater, we're gonna go ahead and say world.setTime, and this is going to be 12,600, which is the beginning of nighttime. And then we're just gonna send them another message saying that basically the server voted for night. Server time has been voted to night. Okay, and now we want to do one last thing here. So if the last vote is equal to null, or basically what we want to have an else here, right? So if the last vote is not equal to null and the time elapsed is less than the vote delay, we basically just want to send a message to the player that they can't vote yet. So we'll just go ahead. So we'll just go ahead and say else player.send message red. It is too soon to start another vote. Easy peasy lemon squeezy, right? Okay. So everybody, thank you so much for watching this video. If you guys enjoyed it, be sure to leave a like, leave a comment. So this was a 3-part series. The next video will be out very soon. I recorded all these back to back, so that way you guys don't have to wait. And I'll release them back to back as well, so that way you guys don't have to wait around week after week waiting for the next video. But if you guys enjoyed the video and you guys are enjoying the series, be sure to smack that like button and share this with all your friends. And again, leave comments down below if you find that there's a better way we can do something. Yeah, that's all I got. I'll see you guys in the next video.